Why is that, you may ask? Because NASCAR is coming to Phoenix, and it's going to be a weekend of good vibes the whole family won't forget. The best-in-class fan experience meets racing's toughest drivers for 3 days of action on and off the track, all surrounded by the beautiful Estrella Mountains. NASCAR weekend at Phoenix Raceway, March 7th through the 9th. Get your tickets now at phoenixraceway.com.
What's better than a credit card with low interest? How about one with no interest? For a limited time, when you open a new America First Visa credit card, you'll enjoy 0% APR for the first 6 months. Transfer your balances from higher rate cards to your new America First card to consolidate debt and potentially save yourself a lot of money. That's 0 interest for 6 months. Interested? Then hurry to americafirst.com to apply today. Introductory variable annual percentage rate is subject to membership, eligibility, terms, creditworthiness, change, and conditions. Other limits and requirements may apply. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal opportunity lender.
Take advantage of thousands of dollars in SRP rebates and discounts on energy-efficient home upgrades like new air conditioning units, windows, ducts, and insulation. Save money on your energy bill while also making your home more comfortable. SRP's network of participating contractors can guide you from start to finish and maximize your savings by combining Inflation Reduction Act incentives with SRP rebates. Learn more at savewithsrp.com.
A noisy garage door is a cry for help that often requires only simple maintenance. Hi, I'm Tommy Mello from A1 Garage Door Service. Don't wait until a simple garage door repair becomes a major problem. We fix garage doors fast and with quality parts designed to last a lifetime. Replacing the bottom rubber on your garage door can have a huge impact on the number of bugs you see in your garage and in your home. Call A1 Garage today and receive the best service, best parts, and best warranty in the industry.
A1 from day one.
Are you tired of seeing rust stains in your sinks? Call Culligan. Or scrubbing hard water scale buildup from your fixtures. Call Culligan. We can customize whole home solutions to address common water worries found in Phoenix. And now, for a limited time, you can get better water at every tap in your home for $0 down, no payments, and no interest for 6 months. Problem water is no problem for Culligan. Contact your local water expert today. Contaminants may not be in your water. Dealer participation may vary. See dealer for details.
Let me introduce y'all to my canes. We got chicken fingers. They hit the spot, baby. Fries are golden crispy, Texas toast crunchy, and they cane sauce creamy rich. One love.
AM 1060 KDUS Tempe Phoenix and KSLX HD2 Scottsdale Phoenix. It's the lunch break.
Does somebody want to tell the Phoenix Suns that the trade deadline is in 2 hours? Does anybody want to give them that message? Welcome in, 11:03. Live on KDUS AM 1060, the KDUS AM 1060 app, and on the KDUS AM 1060 YouTube channel. The NBA trade deadline chaos edition of the lunch break. Chris Schubert with you for the next 2 hours. Buckle up. Have everything nearby. Today, I have the show rundown. I have the laptop that's working the stream. I have the backup laptop that has Twitter open at all times, the tablet with information, the notebook to talk about that lovely basketball game that we had last night. We have you covered here. If something happens over the next 2 hours involving or not involving the Phoenix Suns, we will be here to break it down for you. So fully prepared at one point to rip up this entire show rundown, but for the moment, we are going to proceed on with our regularly scheduled programming. So, Producer Dylan, if you don't mind, please.
Time for our top story of the day. It's the Daily Special.
The dream, or maybe to some of you, it was a nightmare. Either way, it's over. It ended last night. Because before the ball went up in the air for the Suns to take on the Thunder, Jimmy Butler had a new home. And that home was not Phoenix, Arizona. That home was the Bay Area. A trade sending Jimmy Butler to the Golden State Warriors was finished up last night. Kevin Durant is not getting moved before the deadline today at 1 p.m. And the Suns' dreams, if we still want to call them that, of landing Jimmy Butler to try to give this rest of season a little more juice to potentially try to make some noise in the postseason is over. Now, where they pivot from here, that's what the next 2 hours are there for us. But last night, the dream, nightmare, however you described it, is over. The big fish for the Phoenix Suns off the table. The Kevin Durant conversation of being traded before the 1 p.m. deadline today, over, done. We can put that to bed for now. I don't know how you're supposed to feel about Jimmy Butler not coming to the Phoenix Suns today. I don't know how you feel about the Suns right now doing a whole lot of nothing as we sit less than 2 hours away from the trade deadline. But here is what I will tell you. The notification came over my phone last night from Shams Charania that the deal was official. Andrew Wiggins, a draft pick, some other pieces going to Miami, and then other teams being involved. I'll spare you all the details. The main premise is Jimmy Butler out of Miami and going to Golden State. When I saw the notification, I'll tell you exactly what I was doing. I was finishing up some chores at home before the chore that was watching the Suns' second half against the Oklahoma City Thunder last night. I was folding some laundry, had the pregame on the television screen, and was checking my phone because it's that time of year, right? You feel like every couple of seconds, you have to pull on that refresh button. You just have to make sure that if something does happen, you're there at the forefront. You're seeing that information right when it happens. I fell victim to it as well last night. But when I saw the tweet come across that the deal was done, that Jimmy Butler was not coming to the Phoenix Suns, do you know what feeling overwhelmingly came over me last night? It was a sense of relief. It was not a sense of disappointment. I was not upset that the Suns weren't landing Jimmy Butler. I wasn't disappointed that the Suns weren't landing Jimmy Butler. I was relieved that the Suns weren't landing Jimmy Butler. Especially because when we left the show yesterday, it felt like the one true path for Jimmy Butler to end up in Phoenix was going to require Kevin Durant to go out the door. And I explained yesterday, it just didn't make sense to me. It just didn't add up for that to be the move that the Suns made before the trade deadline. It felt like if that was their only path to landing Jimmy Butler wasn't coming to Phoenix. Yet the noise didn't stop yesterday. The noise was loud, and it was loud in a bunch of different pathways. So relief is what I felt last night. And then I had heartburn by the time the game was over last night. So the relief lasted, I don't know, hour and a half, 90 minutes of relief before it was back to being painful. We'll get to that at some point today. I will give you hour number 2 of the program. How about this? You want to talk about a tease that you pay off at some point during the show? Hour number 2 of the program, I promise you, I will tell you one good thing that came out of last night's loss to the Oklahoma City Thunder, because I think there is something very important and something that I would describe as good that came out of that game last night. I'll explain what I mean in hour number 2 of the program. But we've got to set the tone and stage for what the rest of this show is going to look like today. Because truthfully, I've got a plan of a show here. We have all the different layers to just the Jimmy Butler stuff from yesterday, the Kevin Durant entertaining offers from Golden State, not shying away from those rumors. We have all of that. But truthfully, at any given moment, social media could tell me that the Suns have done something. And so you'll just have to bear with us here today on the show, because at any given moment, we might have to take a left turn or a right turn and completely change directions. And we may already have something to at least monitor over the remaining hour and 50 minutes, because Shams Charania just now, as we are sitting here doing this program, is on the NBA trade deadline special that ESPN is running for, I think, 4 consecutive hours. They've been doing it. And he just said, I'm reading the quote here, that teams are still, and the quote that he used, aggressive calling the Suns about Kevin Durant. So it doesn't feel like we're out of the woods yet with the Kevin Durant conversation. Now, my early prediction for you here, he's on this team. I said it yesterday. I feel the same way today. After the Jimmy Butler news last night, I feel further emboldened to double down on that position. Kevin Durant, when he comes back from this ankle injury, the next team that he plays for, in my mind, is still going to be the Phoenix Suns. That's where he ends up. And last night further, I think, pushed us in that direction. So Jimmy Butler off the board. Kevin Durant not going to Golden State, not going to Miami. That was one of the different avenues for this to work, where instead of going to Golden State, Kevin Durant might have gone to Miami in a swap that brought Jimmy Butler back to Phoenix. Again, you needed a degree, a master's degree in NBA trades to figure out what was going on yesterday around Kevin Durant, the Golden State Warriors, the Miami Heat, Jimmy Butler, the Phoenix Suns, all of it. It just felt like, and look at the final deal that the Warriors and Heat agreed to yesterday, ended up being 5 teams. From the get-go, we told you it was going to have to involve a bunch of different teams. It was going to have to acquire a bunch of other players, moving around, making salaries work and other. There was always going to be a lot to this. But the overwhelming feeling that I had last night is relief. I didn't think Jimmy Butler put this team over the top. I didn't think that all of a sudden Jimmy Butler coming here and getting a contract extension, because, look, he immediately signed a brand new 2-year contract extension with the Golden State Warriors immediately upon getting traded there. He took his player option for next year, took it off the table, signed a brand new 2-year contract extension, I think in the neighborhood of $120 million. So going to play out the rest of this year in Golden State and then the next 2 years. So you knew that a trade for Jimmy Butler was going to involve a contract extension. I wasn't on board with that because it happened in Chicago, it happened in Minnesota, it happened in Philadelphia, it happened in Miami. And this is not a lofty prediction that I'm going to make here. It'll probably happen again in Golden State. And so to sign up for all of that, I thought would have been a huge mistake. I thought it would have even been a bigger mistake to trade Kevin Durant for Jimmy Butler yesterday. I think I called it on the social media clip that we put out yesterday a critical blunder. I didn't get to shoehorn in my favorite phrase in the clip, organizational malpractice. But that's what it would have been. So relief is the feeling that I have today, at least when it comes to the Jimmy Butler side of this. Where we go from here, what the next 2 hours might look like for the Phoenix Suns, they're going to tell us exactly how they feel in that building over the next 2 hours. They are going to tell us what they think the best course forward is, at least in their mind, over the next 2 hours. I don't think they need to do anything flashy or splashy today. Their one path to being splashy was trading for Jimmy Butler. If you want to argue that trading Kevin Durant would be splashy, I can get on board with that. I think that is the one trade chip this team has left that could help them speed up a retool process, that it could make the pain a little more bearable, that instead of it being maybe 7 to 10 years of pain, if you start the process now, or perhaps if you start the process in the summer, it's 3 or 5 years of pain. But the only chip that you have at your disposal to get that process started is a move of Kevin Durant. And so that cloud is going to hover over all of this until 101 rolls by, until the music is playing where I say goodbye to all of you and I tell you that Jim Rome is next. Until that music plays and until we find out that the Suns stood pat or did not stand pat, that cloud is going to hover over all of this. Would love to hear your thoughts, what you want the Suns to do over the next 2 hours. Are you upset that so far, up until this point, they haven't done anything? Your phone calls, 480-864-1060 is the phone number. for the next 2 hours for you to hop into this program at any time, even after the Suns make a move. We want instant reactions from you here on the program. You can also hop in to the Lunch Break YouTube live stream over on the KDUS AM 1060 YouTube channel. But coming up on the other side of the break, if it's not going to be Jimmy Butler, and we know that it can't be Jimmy Butler, what can the Suns do in the next 2 hours? That's next on the Lunch Break, KDUS AM 1060.
The NAIA, JUCO, small college, high school sports, and you. Listen to Vince and Friends with the Varsity Sports Show here on KDUS AM 1060, Saturday mornings at 9 a.m.
Shinedown. Dance Kid Dance Tour. Live in Phoenix. Footprint Center, Saturday, August 2nd. With special guests, Bush and Morgan Wade. Get tickets now at LiveNation.com. It's about to get heavy. Shinedown, live in concert. For more, visit Shinedown.com.
Stars are shining down on Goldberg and Osborne. The Eagle has more than 2,200 five-star Google reviews from across Arizona. Like these.
They go that extra mile to let you know they care. A wonderful experience.
They treat their clients like family, and their professionalism is the best in the business.
They made sure I got a great offer. Like a bulldog, they fought for me.
Well said, everyone. After any accident, remember, the bird is the word. Visit Goldberg and Osborne at 1-800-THEEAGLE.com.
On Wednesday, February 19th, Phoenix, Arizona is where the best wrestle as All Elite Wrestling presents Dynamite and Collision.
AEW makes pro wrestling more fun.
2 shows all in one night as the most exciting professional wrestling experience in the world returns to Phoenix for the first time in over a year. AEW Dynamite and Collision from Arizona Financial Theater in Phoenix. Wednesday, February 19th. Tickets on sale now starting at $20 at AEWTIX.com.
Looking to sell your home? Hi, I'm Andrew the Home Buyer, and I love making it easy to sell your house. I'll personally come and give you a cash offer the same day we meet, and I'll beat any other offer. It really is that easy to sell your home, and no need to clean or fix anything. I'll buy it in as-is condition. Call me, Andrew the Home Buyer, today to get your same-day cash offer. Visit AndrewTheHomebuyer.com.
Listener rewards for you with the KDUS 1060 app. Download today to hear all of the national and local shows you love. That's the KDUS 1060 app.
If the Suns are going to accomplish anything in the next hour and 45 minutes, what could they accomplish? And I think in order to answer that question, we have to somewhat reprioritize or reframe this entire conversation. So much of our energy and focus and attention has been on Jimmy Butler. It's been on Bradley Beal and his no trade clause. And it's been on, within the last 24 hours or so, maybe 36 hours, Kevin Durant. That's where our focus has been. Is there another name, truthfully, that we've explored, that we've discussed at length the way we have been with those other 3 guys? Our focus has been so locked in on, are they going to get the Jimmy Butler thing over the goal line? Are they really seriously considering a trade of Kevin Durant? What should they do? Should they push the chips into the middle? Should they take their foot off the gas pedal? That's been the framework. Now, maybe some of this responsibility falls on us, but have we talked about another name? Have we talked about another path for this team to go down? It's really been Jimmy Butler or bust. So now that we are exploring the bust route, because it's not Jimmy Butler, what is this team going to do? Are they going to still see this roster through? It's a major philosophical change to consider trading Kevin Durant. And consider might be a little unfair to the Suns front office. If a team calls You listen. That's not really considering. An offer has been put in front of you. You say yay or nay and somewhat move on. They're not shopping him. They're not calling other teams. At least that's not what the reporting says at this point. Talking to other teams and saying, hey, what would you offer for Kevin Durant? Because this team's offering X, Y, and Z. They're not doing that. Golden State was incredibly aggressive in their pursuit of an all-star, in their pursuit of a superstar to pair with Steph Curry, and Kevin Durant and a reunion in the Bay Area was something at the top of their list. When they found out that that wasn't going to happen for a variety of different reasons, they pivoted and landed Jimmy Butler. Now it is time to see what the Suns' pivot is. But philosophically, there's a big difference between adding at the trade deadline and potentially trying to improve this roster than there is sending Kevin Durant packing, sending Kevin Durant out the door. There's a big difference between those two worlds. In one world, you would be admitting that this hasn't worked and you're resetting. The other world is we still think we have a chance. We're going to improve this roster. And if the Suns do something, and no, I don't mean moving Yusuf Nurkic's contract before 1 p.m. I mean a major addition, not to the level of Jimmy Butler, but an addition that is clear to all of us that it is an intent to improve this roster for the remainder of this season. If they go down that path, there's a big difference between that and trading Kevin Durant. Those two worlds are miles apart. Galaxies apart are those two worlds. And then there's the world in the middle. And that world is 1 o'clock comes and goes, and they don't do anything. They don't make a single move. Nurkic is still here. Grayson Allen is still here. Royce O'Neal is still here. Kevin Durant is still here. We know Bradley Beal's not going anywhere. All of these pieces are still here. There is no addition made by the trade deadline, and this team stands pat. That's the in-between option. Now, I will tell you, there is a big difference between standing pat and doing something. Just like there is a big difference between doing something and trading Kevin Durant. So what do the Suns need before 1 p.m. today? What do they need? You watched them play last night against the Oklahoma City Thunder, albeit without Kevin Durant. You watched them lose by 31 last night. You've watched them play 50 games so far this season and be a 500 basketball team. What do they need? For the longest time, our conversation was centered around getting an alpha, getting the right attitude, getting somebody who was going to provide the right type of energy, which is why the pursuit for Jimmy Butler was so lengthy and so loud. They thought that guy was the missing piece. That Jimmy Butler being here would bring that attitude, would bring that no-nonsense energy, and would be exactly the missing ingredient that this team needed to play to the back of their basketball cards, to play to their stats on their basketball reference pages. And they just needed somebody who would bring the leadership that was required. Now, we thought it was funny that the Suns' example of potentially solving their leadership problem was Jimmy Butler. That was somewhat comical, but that's what they were looking for. And that's the lens we looked at that move through. But now we, like I said, have to reprioritize. So what do they need? Do they need a point guard? No, they're supposed to have that in Tyus Jones. They're supposed to have that in Monte Morris. They have Bradley Beal and Devin Booker carrying the basketball sometimes. A good portion of the time, if we're being honest. So no, you don't need that. Beal and Booker have a lot of overlap. You went out and got the center that you were looking for, Nick Richards. You created the center rotation that you wanted, so you've checked that box. So is it some more rebounding and size at the 4? Is it another wing defender? Are you looking for more scoring? I don't know. I watched Grayson Allen and Royce O'Neal last night kind of lead the charge to start the game for the Suns. Let me consult the notes here real quick. I'll tell you, the notes stopped in the third quarter, just to let everybody know. There are not a lot of notes after the third quarter of last night's basketball game, but I remember this note that I took down. 9 of the first 13 points in that game last night for the Phoenix Suns came from Royce O'Neal and Grayson Allen, who were in the starting lineup. So it feels like you might have the guys you want to turn to for the auxiliary scoring. So what does this team need? Now, I'm going to pull you behind the curtain here real quick, because I gave producer Dylan a code word that he needed to whisper in my ear if I needed to check Twitter. And he did exactly that. So I have gone to Twitter, and the Phoenix Suns have made a trade. And it's probably the trade that if we were power ranking the likelihood of what this team was going to do before the deadline, it was going to be this. But it's Jusuf Nurkic and a 2026 first-round pick to the Charlotte Hornets. They are getting back 2 players and a 2026 second-round pick. So for those of you just maybe getting into your car, not seeing this news, or you're listening on the app, you don't have Twitter open the way we do, Jusuf Nurkic and a 2026 first-round pick. Now, remember, the Phoenix Suns took the 2031 unprotected first and turned it into 3 firsts in 25, 27, and 29. And by doing so, they unlocked their ability to move the 26, 28, and 30 picks. It made all 6 picks available because, remember, you can't trade a certain amount of picks in consecutive years. There's rules against that. So it unlocked their next 6 drafts to be available for them. That was the reason why they made the move. And we always ask the question, would the Suns need to attach a first-round pick to move Jusuf Nurkic? The answer, we now have learned, is yes. Now, you got a second-round pick back in the deal, and you got a second-round pick back in the deal from Charlotte next season. So this is top-line, immediate, off the top of my head reaction to this. But the Phoenix Suns, at this moment, are still kind of trying to go for it. Kevin Durant's still on this team. Devin Booker's still on this team. Bradley Beal is still on this team. Now, they're a 500 basketball team right now, so that 2026 first could be all over the place. Who knows where it's going to get swapped to and what pick they're going to end up with. But more than likely, that first-round pick is going to end up being towards the back of the draft with the way all of the swaps and everything that they have on these picks is going to work out. Charlotte, how good are they? Where are they at? Their pick's going to be a lot closer to the top of the draft than the pick that the Suns just gave up in this deal. So you trade a 2026 first-rounder that we think is probably going to be towards the back half of the first round, and you get a 2026 second-round pick that's going to be somewhat close to the front end of the second round. So you basically traded back to get Jusuf Nurkic off your team, and you landed a small forward in Cody Martin, 6'5", who this year for the Charlotte Hornets has played in 39 games, averages about 25 minutes a night, 8 points, 5 rebounds, not really a big three-point shooter. So you got out of the Jusuf Nurkic business, and you basically did a pick swap. Okay. You got rid of salary. You didn't have to give up a ton. You solved this problem, this cloud that's hanging over this team of Jusuf Nurkic not playing any minutes and us wondering, when was this going to come to an end. This was the type of deal that you needed to make. So you basically do a pick swap, and you get rid of Yusuf Nurkic, you get yourself out of the Yusuf Nurkic business. We always thought this would be the one thing that this team might do before 1 o'clock today. And it's not a wow factor. It's not a huge deal. It doesn't, truthfully, if we're being honest here, does it change a whole lot? Yusuf Nurkic wasn't drawing into the lineup. We'll see how Coach Bud uses Cody Martin on this team, how he draws into the rotation. But I'll tell you what, Cody Martin's probably going to get a little bit more run than Yusuf Nurkic was getting. So from that perspective, you've added somebody to your bench, to your rotation. On most nights when everybody's healthy, it's been a 9-man rotation. Cody Martin will draw in there. Now you've got a 10th man for your rotation. That's a good thing because Yusuf Nurkic was just taking up a roster spot. You were paying him a ton of money, and you had to do a pick swap in order to do it, basically. You traded a 2026 first for a 2026 second. You moved down a couple of spots. You got out of the Yusuf Nurkic business. Okay. That chapter can at least be closed. It doesn't really change the direction of this team yet. This is not the type of move that alters what we need to think about, but the Suns are on the board. They save about $2.5 million this year, $19 million next year, and the two guys that they added in the deal are non-guaranteed for 2025 and 2026. And reportedly, they use their own 2026 pick in the deal, which is, again, swapped like 4 or 5 times or whatever it ends up being. And they kept their pick for this year, at least as of this point. So they got out of the Yusuf Nurkic business, which is what we thought if there was something to be done, this is what they would do. The Suns are on the board. Okay, folks, they are on the board to start NBA trade deadline day. Is there more in the cards for the Phoenix Suns? Well, they've got an hour and a half to figure that out. Coming up on the other side of the break, obviously more on the Yusuf Nurkic trade for the Phoenix Suns, but there was also a game last night, and it went about how we expected it to. That's next on the lunch break. KDUS, AM 1060.
Have you downloaded the KDUS 1060 app yet? Download today and get all of your favorite local and national shows right on your phone.
Labrie, Mayung, Petrucci, Portnoy, Rudis. Dream Theater, 40th Anniversary Tour. February 18th at Arizona Financial Theater. Dream Theater. Tickets on sale now at LiveNation.com. Don't miss Dream Theater, 40th Anniversary Tour.
A family called us recently after being told they had no case.
But we found evidence many others had missed and helped them win the largest car crash verdict in Arizona that year. Hiring the wrong lawyer can cost you everything.
Call the husband and wife law team first.
The Renaissance Festival is back. Weekends now through March 30th. Be ready to have a great time. Amazing adventure awaits the entire family. New shows, shopping, jousting nights, non-stop feasting. Leave your cares behind. Happiness reigns at the Renaissance Festival. It's fun and affordable. You'll love the Renaissance. Visit now through March 30th. Discount tickets available at Bashers' and Food City or online at arizona.renfestinfo.com. Presented by Delta Airlines, Bashers', Food City, Pepsi, Budweiser, and Guinness. Huzzah!
This is Desert Diamond West Valley, where there's next level action and jackpot winning smiles all around. So get your shine on, light up the room, show us what it's all about. It's Love is in the Air. Every Thursday in February, take home up to $2,000. On the 27th, 2 winners save Be Mine to $10,000 cash. It's time to live the diamond life. Desert Diamond Casino West Valley.
An enterprise of the Bono Automation.
Bet with your head, not over it. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP.
Introducing your ultimate golf destination, the Golf Galaxy Performance Center at Ahwatukee Foothills Town Center, opening January 31st. Join us at the grand opening event, February 14th to the 16th. Over $30,000 in giveaways and prizes, including our $10,000 closest to the pin contest. Discover the latest golf clubs, explore cutting-edge styles, and immerse yourself in a brand new golf experience. The first 100 adults in line each day will receive a mystery gift card with a chance to win up to $500. Learn more at golfgalaxy.com/Phoenix.
Wish your school better fit your needs? Switching to Primavera Online mid-year is easy. Enjoy a flexible online education from the comfort and safety of home, plus exclusive benefits like free private tutoring and merit awards for college and more. Enroll at chooseprimavera.com.
Play Monopoly Scratchers from the Arizona Lottery and bring the game to life. Pass go and collect up to $500,000. Follow the signs. and take a chance to win real money and multiply your prize up to 100 times. Imagine your next big adventure with Monopoly Multiplier Scratchers from the Arizona Lottery. Monopoly is a trademark of Hasbro.
Maybe you just missed it. Phoenix Suns are on the board. A trade with the Charlotte Hornets, Yusuf Nurkic, and a 2026 first-round pick. They get back small forward Cody Martin, who this year averaging about 8 points a game in 25 minutes of action. Vasilije Micic, point guard, who I'll raise my hand and say don't know a lot about Vasilije Micic, but I looked at his numbers, and I don't need to see him to know that a guy who's shooting 35% from the floor, probably not going to see a ton of action, but he's a point guard. He's a part of this deal as well, and the Suns are also getting back a 2026 second-round pick in the deal. So that's what the Suns acquire. Cody Martin this year, 7.8 points per game, 4.5 rebounds per game, and 2.3 assists per game. A guy that's going to play the wing, small forward for this team. 6'6", 6'5", another rotational piece for this team, and the Suns get out of the Yusuf Nurkic business. So more on that as the show progresses, and we will also pay attention to what they do the rest of the day. There was a basketball game last night, and it did not go well. It went about as well as we thought it was going to go. Suns fell to the Oklahoma City Thunder, and I'll tell you what, it was a very spirited start for this team. They came out of the gates looking to prove something. I told you that early on, 9 of their first 13 points were from Royce O'Neal and Grayson Allen. You were getting contributions from the guys who were thrusted into the starting lineup. They moved Dunn to the bench. They didn't have Kevin Durant last night, so 2 new faces in the starting lineup, and they were hanging early. The pace of the game was certainly a quick one. A very lively pace early, and the Suns were responding. I at one point wrote down that the pace was insane, how quickly the two teams were moving up and down the floor. And what I thought was so important about the start to this game, and it's really why I thought the Suns were going to be in this game for longer, is they kept the crowd there in Oklahoma City relatively quiet. The crowd in the first quarter of the game never could get into the game because the Suns were just knocking down shots. They were awesome in the first half shooting the 3, and they just kept up with the pace. Anytime the Thunder would get going, and they got going all right, SGA with a 50-burger in the game last night, they responded in the first quarter, in the first half. They had a 2-point lead going into halftime. And with everything that was surrounding this team, trade deadline 24 hours away, Kevin Durant, is he not? Him not playing in general, but is he going to be on this team in the future? Is he not going to be on this team in the future? That was hovering over this team. You're playing the best team in the Western Conference in the Oklahoma City Thunder, who have owned you the last couple times you've met up with them. You just lost 2 in Portland. You're keeping on a road trip right now. All of the reasons in the world for that to be a flat start for the Phoenix Suns. It wasn't. It was the kind of start you like to see from a team that's undermanned, scrappy, needing to keep the game close. They showed up. And yet, here we are, the day after a Suns loss, and we are circling back to the same 2 things. We are circling back to turnovers, and we are circling back to the way they start second halves, the way they play in the third quarter. Shout out to John Voida, Bright Side of the Sun, the managing editor over there, the SB Nation site that covers the Suns. He put out a tweet last night that was the quarter 3 stats for the Suns. And since they're all in one place, I'll just give him credit and read from the tweet. They were 1 of 13 from the field. They were 0 of 5 from behind the 3-point line. They committed 8 turnovers. They allowed 10 points off of those turnovers. They got out-rebounded 12-5, outscored 18-2 in the paint, and outscored 43-16 overall. Now, look, it would be super hypocritical of me after I gave the game an importance of 2 yesterday to come in here and blast this team for losing. We said that they were going to lose this game. We said this was a tough draw for them. We didn't have high expectations. You had a 2-point lead at halftime. And even then, I could sense that this wasn't going to end well. I did not expect that third quarter. Because the 2-point lead that they had at the break should have been bigger. They just had too many turnovers that gave Oklahoma City extra chances at the offensive end. So you only had a 2-point lead. And then the third quarter happened. And it was 7:39 left in the third quarter when the Suns scored their first points of the second half. Nearly 5 minutes of the third quarter had gone by before they scored points, and it wasn't even a made shot. It was a free throw by Devin Booker. I just told you they hit one shot the entire third quarter. 1 of 13 from the field. Outscored 43-16. That takes their second half struggles to a whole new stratosphere last night. Again, I'm not mad that they lost. It was expected. This doesn't change how I feel about this team moving forward. But you had a chance without Kevin Durant, with the trade deadline less than 24 hours away. You had an opportunity last night to hang with the Oklahoma City Thunder for 3.5 quarters, maybe all 4 quarters, and at least show some fight. And here we are again, talking about turnovers and third quarters. And this one, I think, takes the cake. I think last night's third quarter was probably the worst quarter I've seen them play easily all season. But maybe last 2 seasons. I can't. Last night, the third quarter, the first points coming on a free throw nearly halfway through the quarter. Their first actually made field goal was, I think, around the midway point through the third quarter. They had 4 shot clock violations. 4 by the time the third quarter was over. So they had all the turnovers, and part of those turnovers were 4 shot clock violations. The Thunder defense had them fooled. And credit to the Thunder. That's a very good basketball team. And I know you didn't have Kevin Durant, but that's the team that everybody in the Western Conference right now is chasing. And last night, you showed in one quarter you don't belong on the same court as them. How do you go 5 minutes without making a basket? How do you go 5 minutes without scoring a point? How do you, after all of the time and energy that has been spent talking about the slow starts to the second halves that this team has had all year long, and last year it was the fourth quarter where the collapses were happening, and yet you had another one last night, another absolute disaster. I was doing some research for the one positive thing that I want to tell you from last night's game. And so I was looking at the plus-minus numbers for everybody per quarter, per their stint on the court. And I'll tell you, this shouldn't surprise you considering you lost by 31. In the second half, there's not a lot of green. There's like no green. It's all red. It's all minus. It wasn't very good. I don't know if I should admit this. I turned the game off in the fourth quarter. I turned the game off. At one point, it got to 101-79, and I said, this one's over. And I said, I'm turning the game off. That's what I wrote in the notes. I wrote in the notes, I am turning this off. I'm good. I didn't need to see anymore. There was a lot more to do with my evening. Got a fiance, a daughter. They don't need to hear me cursing at the television screen or getting upset because of the way this team was playing in the third quarter. They don't need that. Now, an injury update from after the game last night, this courtesy of Dwayne Rankin, covering the Suns for AZ Central. Ryan Dunn had the ankle injury, put weight on it, didn't have a wrap after the game. Devin Booker, early in the game, had that knee-to-knee collision going up for a basket when he got fouled. Devin Booker said he's fine. Bradley Beal seemed fine after the game. So we'll see. The next time they're back in action is tomorrow when they'll take on the Utah Jazz at home. So we'll learn more probably later on today, maybe tomorrow. But it seems like they avoided a major injury scare. Before we go to break, the Atlanta Hawks getting involved in all the fun. Forward DeAndre Hunter going to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Karis LeVert, Georges Niang, 3 second-round picks, and 2 swaps going back for the Cavs to land DeAndre Hunter. So that's where things stand as we close in on 1 hour away from the trade deadline. And for those of you who maybe just hopped in, the Suns have made a move today. They have gotten on the board Jusuf Nurkic. Didn't have a relationship with Coach Bud, was on the bench, wasn't playing a whole lot. That situation has come to an end. He got traded to the Charlotte Hornets for Cody Martin, a 2026 second-round pick, and point guard Vasilije Micic. And the Suns also had to trade a 2026 first-round pick. That also means they're holding on to the 2025 first-round pick because, remember, you can't trade picks in back-to-back years. So 2025 pick's not going anywhere right now that they reacquired via Utah. We'll talk about that a little bit in hour number 2 of the program. That is where things stand right now. When we come back on the other side of the break, Kevin Durant didn't want to go to Golden State. He wants to stay in Phoenix. Should that matter? That's next, the lunch break. KDUS, AM 1060.
Your morning drive just got a little better. The Dan Patrick Show is live weekday morning starting at 6 exclusively on KDUS, AM 1060.
Breaking news, and this one is almost unbelievable.
Yeah, it's all about new customers at Bet365 because they get $150 in bonus bets when they bet $5, win or lose. And even better, bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, and player props.
There you have it. Bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. And see why. It's never ordinary at Bet365. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in Arizona. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT-STEP to 53342. T&Cs apply.
Ghost World Tour 2025. Ghost Theatrical Heavy Metal Arena Rock. August 11th, Footprint Center. Tickets on sale now at livenation.com. Don't miss Ghost.
Picture this. A family trusts a lawyer after their father has been seriously injured. And then they're told there's no way to win his case, and they'll have to take care of him with no support.
And that would have been the end of the story because they hired the wrong lawyer. Fortunately, they called us to the husband-wife law team. We were able to use our years of expertise to uncover evidence previously missed and guarantee they could change their father's life forever.
Do your research after a serious injury. Call the husband and wife law team first.
American Family Insurance is a lot like Captain America. He protects the world.
It's just doing my job.
And we help protect your dreams with amazing auto and home coverage. American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com. And see Marvel Studios' Captain America: Brave New World.
Suit up. We need to move.
In theaters February 14th. This film is not yet rated.
Products not available in every state. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings from 6 to 9 a.m.
This is just something I like to call breakfast.
With big name guests, timely sports information, and more on KTUS AM 1060.
Kevin Durant didn't want to go to Golden State. He wanted to stay in Phoenix. Should that matter as the trade deadline approaches for the Phoenix Suns? Should that matter when we get to this upcoming off season. It was a report in The Athletic that talked about Steph Curry and a conversation that he had with Kevin Durant. And that conversation is what convinced him that KD didn't want to go back to Golden State, that the trade wasn't happening. And Kevin Durant doesn't have a no-trade clause. If the Suns want to move Kevin Durant, they are well within their right to move Kevin Durant. If they feel like they want to get off this ride and they want to reset, they have every right to do so before 1 o'clock today. And yet they didn't. They didn't go through with a deal that was reportedly on the table that could have seen Kevin Durant get moved and Jimmy Butler ending up in Phoenix. They could have, despite Kevin Durant not wanting to go to Golden State, making the move anyway. Getting back Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green, some combination, maybe both, players, picks. They could have gone through with that. But they didn't. Kevin Durant didn't want to go to Golden State. And so they pulled back. Are we surprised that Kevin Durant didn't want to go back to Golden State? Won a couple championships there. Some finals MVPs, if I'm not mistaken. He was a good player in Golden State. Helped them tremendously. But Kevin Durant's pretty smart. Kevin Durant understands that if he was going to go to Golden State, it was going to empty out a lot of the assets that they would have had for the future. And that future would have involved him being there for a couple of years via an extension. And he probably didn't like what he saw as Steph Curry ages, as he ages. He'll turn 37 next year. He probably looked at that and said, you know what? I'm comfortable here. That situation for me is not better than this situation for me. The last time I went to Golden State, I wasn't treated the best by those in NBA Twitter land. I'm good. I'll pass on this again. Should we care, though, that he wants to finish his career here in Phoenix? Should we care that he's not looking elsewhere? Should we care that that's his position? And honestly, I don't think it should matter in the calculation of this team at all. This team needs to do what is best for the Phoenix Suns. It's why taking the phone calls like they did over the last 24 hours, like they might still be taking right now in the lead up to the deadline, which is now 1 hour and 8 minutes away. It's in their best interest to take those phone calls. It's in their best interest to see if they can find a deal that helps them for the future. You can't unring the bell, right? You can't unring it. Can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. Whatever phrase you want to use. The Phoenix Suns entertained or listened to the Golden State Warriors and their pitch to try to trade for Kevin Durant. And it, for brief pockets of time, not last night but the night before, looked like it might have gotten done. You can't undo that. There's no Command Z button for that. These are players. They have feelings. This is real life. Now, maybe Kevin Durant won't be bothered by all of this. He certainly shouldn't. It's a 500 basketball team that's supposed to be competing for a championship. They're barely holding on in a playoff race to be one of the 10 teams that gets in to the Western Conference playoff. They're barely doing that. They're barely in the mix right now. So he better not be upset that they're listening. He better not be upset that they might seriously be considering moving on. They wouldn't be doing their jobs very well if they weren't considering it at this point. When you look at where the team is at, it's just not a good basketball team. 500. And I don't even really care much about last night, but it's a 500 basketball team that hasn't been good all year. They had a nice 8-1 stretch to start the year, and that's about it, man. Even that stretch a couple of weeks ago where it seemed like they were turning a corner. We told you, look at who they're playing. This isn't real. This isn't sustainable. Watch what happens when they play some of the best teams in the Western Conference or the best teams in the Eastern Conference. Look at how they've played. The last two big games that they have played against the top team in the East and the top team in the West. Look at how they played against Cleveland, and look at how they played last night against Oklahoma City. And I know they didn't have Kevin Durant, but look at the way that third quarter went. They're not on that level. So Kevin Durant wants to stay in Phoenix. That's great. If I'm Matt Ishbia, if I'm James Jones, if I'm the Suns front office, if I think keeping Kevin Durant is in the best interest of this team, then I'll do it. If I don't, I'm not going to be swayed because Kevin Durant wants to stay in Phoenix. I need to do what is right for this basketball team. And every single day that passes, every single game that gets played, every data point that we add to this puzzle, what does it tell you? It tells you this team is not winning a championship. This iteration of the Phoenix Suns, it ain't it. And we know the one trade chip that they have available to them, the one guy that they could move that would bring back some value, is Kevin Durant. So if things are awkward right now, during the break I was listening to a cut. Ramona Shelburne was on the NBA trade deadline special on ESPN and said that shoot around yesterday in Oklahoma City was awkward, was the word that she used. Everybody was on pins and needles. Because now you have to maybe try to chart a course forward with KD on this team. I don't care that it's awkward. You know what makes it not awkward? Not being a 500 basketball team. Playing to your expectations. Playing to the back of your basketball card. Playing to the level that we all thought this team should be able to play to. That's how you make sure it's not awkward on trade deadline day. But I don't blame the Phoenix Suns in the slightest for listening on Kevin Durant if Golden State was as aggressive as it certainly seemed like they were. And I do not blame them if they continue to field those calls between now and 1 p.m. And if by 1 p.m. today they end up making a trade, and I don't think that's in the cards. I think we're going to deal with this in the summer. But if they do pull the trigger and make a trade by 1 p.m. of Kevin Durant, they are well within their right. You want this to not be a conversation? Play better basketball. Beat Brooklyn at home. Beat Portland twice in Portland. Don't lose to a shorthanded Memphis team at home. Don't lose to Brooklyn. Don't lose to Charlotte. Don't lose to those teams. And then we don't have to have any of these conversations. Instead, we're talking about the players out there that they could potentially add. But you built a flawed team with a flawed roster, with flawed cap constraints, and now you are reaping all of what comes with that. And it's awkward situations like this. And so to me, no matter what, I think we are barreling down towards another summer of drama surrounding this team. And it is mainly going to be focused on, because I fully expect Kevin Durant to be here when 101 rolls around. We keep making this joke here on the show when the music plays to play me off, to tell me that I'm done for the day. I think Kevin Durant's still going to be a member of the Phoenix Suns when that happens. And so that means we are going to have a summer of conversation about the future of Kevin Durant. Because Pandora's box was opened by listening to Golden State. There's nothing wrong with that. But you can't put the genie back in the bottle. You can't unring the bell. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. Whatever saying you want me to use here, whichever one, you can't undo what you've already done. You have started to listen. And I think in the summer, if this season continues to go the way that it is looked to be going so far, then we are going to have a summer of drama and a summer of continuing this conversation. Now, no, this music does not mean that the trade deadline it's the next hour's music. It's not this hour. We've got one more. Don't worry, everybody. We've got one more hour of potential trade deadline chaos. Coming up on the other side of the break, we'll let you know where things stand with 1 hour to go in the trade deadline, and it was ugly last night. But was there one encouraging thing to come from the blowout? I'll tell you what it is next. The lunch break, KDUS, AM 1060.
1060 KDUS Tempe Phoenix and KSLX HD2 Scottsdale Phoenix.
Here's a definition of a win-win situation. Getting your windshield repaired or replaced and getting a guaranteed minimum of at least $100 all the way up to $375 cash back in your pocket. Time for you to check out New Vision Auto Glass. See clearly, drive safely. See what I did there? Give them a call at 480-210-9090 or go to newvisionautoglass.com to see what kind of incentives and cash back you qualify for. Look, the valley heat, potholes, flying rocks, it's only a matter of time until your windshield gets cracked or chipped. So why not get the experts to come to you? Repair or replace your windshield, give you instant cash back of up to $375, and give you dinner from Radisho Grill. Wait, hold up. 30-second, $375, new windshield, dinner. You know what? I was wrong. It's not a win-win situation. It's a win-win-win-win. And it all starts with calling 480-210-9090 or going to newvisionautoglass.com, taking 30 seconds to fill out a form to get cash in your pocket, repair or replace your windshield, dinner at Rodizio Grill, and peace of mind. To me, the choice is clear. New Vision Auto Glass, proud partner of the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Deftones. North American Tour 2025, live in Phoenix. Footprint Center, March 9th. With special guests, the Mars Volta and Fleshwater. Get tickets now at livenation.com. Presented by the Big Red Radio.
You may not have any experience dealing with car wrecks, but Lerner & Rowe does. After your car wreck, you need an attorney to make sure your interests, like car repairs, medical bills, and lost wages, are protected. Finding the right attorney is actually easy. Just look for reputation, experience, and results. Lerner & Rowe has thousands of 5-star reviews, decades of experience, and we've recovered billions of dollars for our injured clients. Hurt in a wreck and need a check? Call Lerner & Rowe today.
Lerner & Rowe is the way to go. Call 977-1900.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. And now save 50% on the new Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Limited time. To learn more, visit one of our 12 Phoenix Sleep Number stores or visit sleepnumber.com.
The love affair is burning hot at Whole Foods Market. Stop in for Valentine's Day deals on delicious desires like roses, surf and turf, gifts for your person, supplies for a special dinner, and more through February 14th.
AM 1060 KDUS Tempe Phoenix and KSLX HD2 Scottsdale Phoenix.
58 minutes. That's what's left until the NBA trade deadline comes and goes. The Suns on the board already. Yusuf Nurkic and a 2026 first-round pick out the door. In comes Cody Martin, Vasilije Micic, and a 2026 second-round pick. That, the lone deal that the Phoenix Suns have made here as the trade deadline is less than an hour away. We always thought this was the strongest possibility for the Suns ahead of the trade deadline, was getting out of the Yusuf Nurkic business. He was not playing for them. He did not have a relationship with the coach. They traded for Nick Richards. They were playing Nick Richards. They've been playing Mason Plumlee. They have Oso Ighodaro on the roster. There wasn't a pathway for Yusuf Nurkic to be on this team and have a role moving forward, despite there being a clear need for some more rebounding. Yusuf Nurkic was not getting out of the doghouse. He was not going to play for this team. And so the Suns got themselves out of that business. They had to attach a 2026 first in order to do so. But by getting a second-round pick, it's basically just them moving down a bunch of spots so you don't feel as bad about it. And truthfully, I got no problem with this move. You add a player in Cody Martin who can help add to your rotation. When they're healthy, it's basically a 9-man group at this point. Adding Cody Martin gives Coach Bud another option to that bench, lengthening it a little bit and giving them a 10th option. Again, Yusuf Nurkic wasn't playing. So a deal that allows me to get out of that money. He's owed $19 million next year. The Suns are off the hook for that. They don't have to worry about that. Helps them somewhat clean up their books. Still above all the aprons, but at least moves them in the right direction. And you didn't have to just give away a pick and not get anything back, right? We thought for the longest time that potentially trading Yusuf Nurkic was going to need them to attach a pick to him and then get nothing back and basically just attach the pick to get out of the money. They got a rotational piece back, and they got a second-round pick, which is basically them just moving down a bunch of spots for a guy who was not playing. So if you have a guy who's not playing and I can replace him with, is Cody Martin going to wow you when he plays next for the Phoenix Suns? No, that's not what Cody Martin's going to bring to the table, but he is a body. He is somebody that is going to draw into this rotation, and we couldn't say that about Yusuf Nurkic anymore. It just wasn't happening. So if the Suns are still going to at least keep the team at present, the core intact, to try to see how this season plays out, adding somebody like a Cody Martin to give Coach Bud another rotational option and to use that roster spot wisely is a fine move with me. And again, the move we thought was going to be the most likely. So we'll see if there's anything else that the Suns do before the trade deadline comes and goes at 1 o'clock. We'll see. You wonder if after last night with Jimmy Butler getting traded and that being the main focus for the Phoenix Suns, if they take a step back, their pivot is okay. We don't have to worry about this big, huge mega deal. All of our assets are now available to us. Let's work on a Yusuf Nurkic deal, and then we'll call it a deadline. We'll see you tomorrow night when they take on the Utah Jazz. We'll see. We'll see if that's what they do. They still have 54 minutes to get something done before we hit 1 o'clock. There was an encouraging thing from last night's basketball game, at least to me. And I know you're wondering, Chris, how could you possibly say that? Team lost by 31 points. They lost 140 to 109, and you're going to try to convince me that there is something positive to take from last night's basketball game. That is exactly what I'm going to do. Because there was a player last night that when the game was still in the balance, when the Suns were making their push in the first half, and they had a big lead at one point, when I wrote the note down about how well this guy was playing, it was a 50 to 41 lead. They broke out a 9-point lead in the first half. I thought Bradley Beal in the first half was the best player for the Phoenix Suns, and I don't think it was relatively close. I wrote in my notes, Beal is cooking. He just was playing very differently last night. Where has that version of Bradley Beal been for the Phoenix Suns? Am I the only one that noticed that last night? Did it seem different to any of you out there last night, how well Bradley Beal was playing? Playing with some confidence, some swagger, taking the ball to the basket, driving, kicking, making the extra pass with confidence, just playing what felt like his best version of basketball. I hate to make this comparison, but I felt like I was watching the Washington Wizards version of Bradley Beal. And do you want to know why I felt that way? When Bradley Beal started to lead this team on a run, Book was out, Book was sitting down, so it was Beal leading the offense. Again, they didn't have Kevin Durant last night. They went on a nice run to take the lead from the Oklahoma City Thunder, and Beal was leading the way. Here was the group that he was sharing the court with for most of that run. It was Beal, it was Royce O'Neal, it was Tyus Jones, it was Richards, it was Allen. Plumlee came in for a little bit. That was the group. Now, no offense to any of those guys. No offense to Royce O'Neal, to Tyus Jones, to Grayson Allen, to Nick Richards. No offense to any of those guys. But none of those guys are superstars that Bradley Beal has to defer to. None of those guys are superstars where Bradley Beal might think for a second, man, I got to get the ball to Kevin Durant. I've got to get the ball to Devin Booker. And there is some level of deferring happening from Bradley Beal. With that group that he shared the floor with last night, there was no Durant. There was no Booker to defer to. It was Bradley Beal at his best. The best version of Bradley Beal in Washington is when it was Bradley Beal and friends. Bradley Beal could be the offense, take the ball, and you go at his pace. And so when you bring him to Phoenix, and now he's dealing with Kevin Durant, and he's dealing with Devin Booker, and he knows, as good as Bradley Beal is, and he's a good basketball player, he's not Devin Booker. He is not Kevin Durant. And so you defer a little bit. Not last night. There was nobody that he needed to defer to last night. He could play Washington Wizards Bradley Beal basketball. And that's why the Suns were able to go on that run and take the lead and ultimately have a lead going into the second half because of how well Bradley Beal played last night. So that's encouraging. Here's the question that I have coming out of that. How do the Suns get that version more often? What do they have to do for us to see that version of Bradley Beal? Because let me be honest with you, everybody. I am not attempting to convince you that Bradley Beal playing that way last night and them finding a way to get Bradley Beal to play that way moving forward is going to be the solution to all of the Suns' problems. That it's going to fix everything, and then all of a sudden this team will go on a magical run and they will be relevant and they can avoid the play-in tournament. I am not trying to sell you that story. I'm not trying to sell you those magic beans here on the show today. But I am saying that it would look a lot different. That it would probably be a lot more fun to watch. That those games that we say the team has to have, like the two in Portland, like tomorrow night's game against the Utah Jazz, you'd probably feel a little more confident knowing that you could get that version of Bradley Beal. And he came off the bench and did that last night, right? We have been long concerned on this show of how to find that consistency from Bradley Beal off the bench. Going from being a starter for a majority, if not all of his NBA career, to now, for this stretch of time, being a bench player. That's a hard thing to do to find your flow. Last night, Bradley Beal had his flow. How do the Suns find pockets of time where they can let Bradley Beal be Bradley Beal? When you have Kevin Durant and you have Devin Booker, how do you find the space and the time and the pockets of time in the game to let Bradley Beal lead the offense for 2 minutes, for 4 minutes? Can you artificially find some segments of time where you sit both Durant and Booker and maybe let Beal lead a group for a little bit? Because he didn't do that last night against the Charlotte Hornets. He didn't do it last night against the Washington Wizards. He didn't do that last night against the Brooklyn Nets, the Utah Jazz. He did it against the best team in the Western Conference. And so this is where coaching becomes important. You've got to find a way to artificially create that environment when Devin Booker and Kevin Durant are both healthy and available for this team. You have to find a way to say, you know what? I might sit both Book and Durant for 2 minutes, for 3 minutes, and give Beal an extended run to see, hey, can maybe he find something? Could he get hot here and help us? And I know you want to have one of those two guys on the floor at all time, but you saw what Bradley Beal looked like last night. And so maybe you can't find 6 minutes or 8 minutes where you do that. Can you find 2 minutes at the end of a half where you do it? Can you find 2 minutes in the middle of the second quarter where maybe you're trying to find some energy from your team and you say, hey, Brad, here you go. Here's your group. Go ahead. Lead the charge. The straw that stirs the drink for the Phoenix Suns is always going to be Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. But after what I saw last night, can you find a way to let Bradley Beal be Bradley Beal? He's going to play somewhere around the 30-minute mark every night. Can you find me 3 minutes where Bradley Beal can be that Bradley Beal? And he can lead a group and be the focal point of the offense? Because if Devin Booker or Kevin Durant are on the floor with him, and especially those stretches of time where all three of them are on the floor together, he's always going to defer. And he looked like a different basketball player last night, being able to play freely. And so with the way this team is designed, you're not going to be able to do it for large stretches. But all I'm asking for is, can you find a way to find 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes? And if it's successful and it starts to work, maybe you try to give him some run. And you know what? That wouldn't be the worst thing in the world with the schedule that this team has in the second half if you can artificially find time during a game where Kevin Durant doesn't have to play nearly 40 minutes a night, where you can find some extra rest for Devin Booker. So I hope Coach Bud saw that first half from Bradley Beal, where he, in the second quarter, led the team back, allowed them to grow a lead, and he was the lead dog. He can be that guy. He can't be that guy with Durant and Booker. He's always going to defer. So find this. It's a 48-minute basketball game. find a small little window of 3 minutes where Bradley Beal can be Bradley Beal. And it's going to be dictated by the game flow, right? But you can't tell me that it's impossible to find that time, because I thought Bradley Beal looked like a different basketball player in the first half last night. And so to me, that is one of the good things that comes out of this game, only if the Suns are able to capitalize on it. If we just go back to the way things were when Durant's back and Beal's out there with one, I don't think you're going to see that version of Bradley Beal. I just don't. Coming up on the other side of the break, they traded the 2031 first-round pick unprotected. They got 3 picks back in return. For the longest time, we were wondering why they were doing so. Well, we might have got our answer today. That's next, the lunch break, KUS AM 1060.
It gets a little crazy in the sports news sometimes. Listen weekdays from 5 to 6 p.m. with The Rooster right here on KDUS AM 1060.
Sticks. The hits live at Celebrity Theater. 2 shows. February 26th and 27th. Tickets on sale now at celebritytheater.com. A trip through all their best. Don't miss Sticks Live. Produced by Danny Zalisco Presents.
Make your Valentine's Day gourmet with elegant indulgences from AJ's. Elevate date night by making a gourmet meal at home with our hand-cut steaks and succulent seafood. Complete the evening with a bottle of wine from our expertly curated collection and pick up luxurious long-stem roses and decadent desserts like our hand-dipped chocolate strawberries and more online at ajsfinefoods.com. Indulge your Valentine at AJ's.
Planning to propose this Valentine's Day? Shane Company has your back. Our easy process to create your dream engagement ring is rock solid. 1, pick your ring setting. 2, choose your center stone. 3, personalize it. With our wide selection of beautiful settings and hand-picked diamonds and gemstones, all at competitive prices, your ring will be as unique as your love story. We'll hand-set your ring in our jeweler's workshop right here in our store and protect it with our free lifetime warranty. Walk in with a dream, walk out with the ring that will take their breath away. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
Mark your calendars for Sunday, February 9th at Wecopa Casino Resort. This year, we have special guest sports commentators who will be giving away cash while you watch the big game. Win big with our $25 Squares game every quarter, $100 prop bets, and the kickoff challenge. Earn $1 for every yard and kick return. Doors open at 2 with first come, first serve entry. No purchase necessary. Just be 21 or older and a Wecopa Fortune Club member. Don't miss the ultimate game day experience. We have the best of it all at Wecopa Casino Resort.
I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. The blueprint is as old as basketball itself. You have to have a generational big man. You need a dynamic guard. You need Shaq and Kobe, Duncan and Parker, Kareem and Magic. Even Karl Malone, as dominant as he was, needed John Stockton to help orchestrate his brilliance. The Spurs have their franchise big man in Victor Wembanyama, and now they have De'Aaron Fox. Fox isn't just a blur in transition. He's a proven closer, an all-star playmaker who thrives in big moments. Coming off a big performance last night, his ability to break down defenses, push the pace, command attention, and all of this will make Wembanyama even greater. It's not just a trade, it's a turning point for the franchise. Wembanyama's greatness is inevitable, but with Fox setting him up, it will arrive sooner than expected. Every dominant big man needs a good buddy, his point guard. The Spurs just found theirs, and now the real era of Victor Wembanyama is beginning. I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. This isn't a little itty-bitty, teeny-tiny bowl. It's the Super Bowl. Get in on all the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 59. New DraftKings customers bet $5, get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use code Patrick. Code Patrick for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. New customers only. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
Every Monday night, check out Ray Adams as he hosts the Monday Night Golf and Lifestyle Show from 6 to 7 p.m. here on KDUS AM 1060.
The Suns, a couple weeks back, made a draft pick trade. They took the 2031 unprotected first, the only pick that they had full control over. Every other pick between now and then had all sorts of different restrictions on it. Swaps, and this team can have it unless this team calls it first. It's hard to understand which picks the Suns actually have until the season is over. But the Suns didn't control their own first-round pick. It was always going to be somebody else's, and it almost assuredly was going to be towards the back of the first round of the draft, except for the 2031 first. That was the one asset that they had full control over. And it was always the pick that we weren't sure if they would cross that bridge, if they would take that pick and attach it to Bradley Beal's contract to get him to move his no-trade clause and move on, or if they would use that pick to land Jimmy Butler. We were never sure if that was the bridge they were willing to cross. Well, they crossed that bridge a few weeks ago because they took that pick, they traded it to Utah, and they got back 3 first-round picks. One in 2025, one in 2027, and one in 2029. So they took one pick that was completely unprotected and turned it into 3. Now they're heavily protected, but 3 first-round picks in years in which they didn't have anything right now. So as things stood today, they had a 2025 first. They had a 2026 first. They had a 2027 first, a 28 first, a 29 first, a 2030 first. They did not have a 2031 first. And then this offseason, the 2032 pick becomes unlocked for them. So we were all wondering what they were going to do with their newly acquired picks from the Utah Jazz. I have open right now. Please allow me a quick sidebar, everybody. I have in front of me the Pro Sports Transactions page that has the future draft pick status of all the Suns picks. It's like reading a college essay to try to figure out what picks they actually have. There's blocks of text. Blocks to try to figure out what they have. So they would get something in 2025. They're going to get something in 2026 and 27, all these years, right? So we were wondering what they were going to do with those picks. And when the deal first happened, I thought I had it figured out. I thought one of those picks was going to be attached to Jusuf Nurkic's contract. I thought one of those picks was going to be added to Bradley Beal's contract. And the third pick was going to get sent out to Miami as part of the Jimmy Butler side of the deal. That's what I thought the 3 assets were for, because when you only had the one asset and you couldn't trade 2026 and you couldn't trade 2028 and you couldn't trade 2030, you couldn't move those picks because you would move 25 and 27 and 29. So you were limited. The 2031 pick was the only thing that you had. So it's hard to trade Nurkic and also trade Bradley Beal and also trade for Jimmy Butler when you have one asset. So they turned one really good asset into 3 meh assets. But it was those 3 meh assets that was, we thought at the time, going to help facilitate all of these moving parts. So when we woke up today and Jimmy Butler was off to Golden State with a brand new 2-year, $121 million contract extension. And by the way, there's a bunch of reporting on this that Phoenix had a longer extension on the table. And the only way that I could read that is they were not going to have him rip up the player option for next year. They were going to give him multiple years past that because he ripped up next year's deal to go to Golden State. So he's getting paid for the rest of this year, next year, and 1 year after that. So my read of the situation is if he came to Phoenix, he was going to keep next year's player option, and it was going to be at least 2 years beyond that. It was going to be a longer contract extension. But when that happened, one of the first reactions I had, other than the relief that I told you about, and now we're number one, is why did they trade the 2031 pick? Why did they do that? Well, we got our answer today. We got our answer because by trading for those 3 picks, it allowed them and it opened up everything for them. It opened up all of their draft picks. By acquiring a pick in 25, 27, and 29, it allowed them to move 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. All of them became available because they had picks in all of those years. It wouldn't be them trading back-to-back picks so that they could swing a deal. And so today we got our answer because today they took the 2026 first-round pick, which for them is going to be the least favorable of their own, the Wizards pick or the Magic's pick. So they're going to get the worst out of those 3 picks. That pick is going to Charlotte, and in return, they got Cody Martin, small forward, add to their wing depth, and they traded that pick with Jusuf Nurkic. But they got Cody Martin, they got Vasilije Micic, and a 2026 second-round pick. So the answer all along is that's what they traded the 2031 pick for. Because while, yes, the 2031 pick was unprotected, and it was the one pick that they had that was all there. So if they were terrible in 2031 and they tanked, they would at least reap the rewards of tanking. Right now, Houston has their pick this year in 2025. It will convey to Houston. So if that's the case, then they can't, quote-unquote, tank. Because what does tanking get you? You're not going to see the rewards for that because Houston has your pick. Now, you're going to get Cleveland's pick, which is 29, so you're still going to pick in the first round. But you can't tank. You got to hope Cleveland's bad. They're 41-10. They're not bad. You're going to be picking towards the back of the first round. Spoiler alert, everybody. But you traded for those additional picks so that you had more flexibility. The 2031 pick would be nice, but it doesn't allow you the flexibility that you're going to need right now to trade Jusuf Nurkic's contract and free up that money. And it allows you in the summertime to potentially evaluate more stuff. Because now in the summertime, you have a 27 first. You have a 28 first, a 29 first, a 30 first. You have all these picks that you can then, the 32 first becomes available to you. You have more options available. So that's what the Phoenix Suns accomplished today. That is why they traded the 2031 pick. Because while maybe the original intention there was to make a bigger deal, the fallback option was always, we have the flexibility. We have more options than we did before making this deal. Before trading this pick, it was one pick and one pick only, 2031. Now it's 25, 27, 29, but it's also 26, 28, and 30. All of those drafts now become unlocked for us to make a move. And today you saw their pivot plan, their plan B, or truthfully, I think was part of their plan all along. And they took one of those picks that now became unlocked, and they got rid of Jusuf Nurkic's contract. That's what they did that for, maximum flexibility, and you saw a version of what that flexibility provided today. Now, so far, with 31, 32 minutes to go before the trade deadline, that is the only thing that we have seen the Suns do. That's it. Jusuf Nurkic out. A 2026 first-round pick out the door. That's it. They've got about 30 minutes to go. If it's the only thing they do, how should we feel about this trade deadline for the Phoenix Suns? That's next on the lunch break. KDUS, AM 1060.
The Varsity Sports Show dives into Arizona high school sports, JUCO, NAIA, and NCAA sports. Catch it Saturday mornings, 9 a.m. on KDUS, AM 1060.
Lincoln Park. From Zero World Tour 2025.
You ready? Yes, you cut me open just to special guest Gene Dawson. Get tickets now at livenation.com. For more, visit lincolnpark.com.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. If you've been injured in a car accident, call America's largest injury law firm. For over 35 years, my mission has been to deliver more for our clients, to deliver more for you. Injured? Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Hey, basketball fans, Tom Chambers here reminding you that just like in a game, you need a solid defense for your home. And that starts with a reliable roof from Right Way Roofing. Hey, Lori, as owner of Right Way Roofing, what sets you apart from the competition?
Our team tackles any roofing challenge, from shingles to tile to foam roofing. We'll make sure your roof wins against the toughest opponents: rain, wind, and even those scorching summer days.
Make Right Way Roofing your MVP.
We're Right Way Roofing and we do it right. We'll always keep you watertight.
For 60 years, Fisher Tools has been the Valley's trusted source for quality, precision, and power. Family owned and operated for 3 generations, we are proud to be a local Tempe business offering the best tools and supplies for every construction job. With the largest selection of power tools in Arizona, from Makita to DeWalt to Milwaukee, we've got everything you need to get the job done right. And with our electric glove testing facility on site, you can trust the safety of your gear. Check out our 8,000 square foot showroom where we stock every tool you could ever want or need. We stock everything for industry professionals in the electrical, mechanical, plumbing, concrete, and power utility industries. If you help build Arizona, we're your best one-stop shop for all your tool needs. Come see why we've been the Valley's destination for trade professionals for over 60 years. Visit Fisher Tools today in-store or online at fishertools.com.
Roses are red and violets are blue. Kanab, Utah has a Valentine's surprise for you. The 11th annual Balloons and Tunes Roundup. It's time. Plan your stay soon. Every morning, your love will soar with hot air balloons for you to adore. Shop for treasures or dance to the beat. There's a vendor fair with live music and treats. Cupid Zeros shines bright with a lantern festival that lights up the night. And you and your boo thang snuggled up tight. February 14th, 15th, and 16th. Don't be late. It's love at first flight, your fam's perfect date. Visit balloonsandtunesroundup.com and plan your stay today.
Winter's here. Protect your car with a free Super Protect wash from Superstar Car Wash. Just text DESERT to 27800 and get our premium wash for free. Superstar Car Wash has everything you need to stay winter ready. Terms and conditions apply.
Check out KDUS AM 1060 on 100.7 KSLX HD2. That's right, HD radio on 100.7 channel number 2.
Looks like, despite there being 26 more minutes, Phoenix Suns are done. That's it. Yusuf Nurkic is the only move that they are going to make today. Gerald Bourguet, who covers the Suns for PHNX Sports, confirming some earlier reporting from a bunch of different places, including another radio host here in town, that the Suns are done for the day. They are good. 1 o'clock is going to come and go, and the only thing that the Phoenix Suns will have accomplished on trade deadline day itself is a move of Yusuf Nurkic. So in totality, here is what the Phoenix Suns have done trade-wise. They trade Richards. They trade 2031 unprotected pick, the 3 other first-round picks that we just talked about in the last segment. And they moved Yusuf Nurkic today to free up that $19 million next year. And they save about $2.5 million this year, I believe, on the contract. What I saw from various different places on Twitter. That's it. That's what the Phoenix Suns have done at the trade deadline. Got themselves a brand new starting center, traded the 2031 asset, flipped it into some other things, not as highly valued or highly regarded, but at least some flexibility. And then they in turn use that flexibility to get out of Yusuf Nurkic's contract. That's it. They're done. The roster that you saw last night, plus a returning Kevin Durant, plus potentially Cody Martin in whatever role he has on this team, that team is going to play out the remaining 31 games on the Suns' schedule. Which I'm going to check just to make sure, but it's been for a while now. 32 games left on the Phoenix Suns schedule. which is still the hardest remaining schedule left in the NBA. So this roster is going to see it through. They are going to see the rest of the season through. Kevin Durant is not going anywhere. Bradley Beal is not going anywhere. There is no additions coming to this team other than what they got back in the Jusuf Nurkic trade. They are going to basically stand pat. So how do you feel? How should you feel? Are you relieved? Are you annoyed? Are you disappointed? Are you excited? What are you? Truthfully to me, this is a sign that perhaps common sense is winning. That perhaps the Phoenix Suns are reckoning with their reality. This front office and ownership group, since they've gotten here, since Matt Ishbia has become the owner of the Phoenix Suns, it has been big move after big move. It has been championship aspiration after championship aspiration. Everything has been done with one vision in mind, winning a championship. And it has been just all in, pedal to the metal, no all gas, no brake from the word go. Matt Ishbia's first day as owner of the Phoenix Suns, the Kevin Durant deal gets done. So we've been going from day one of the Matt Ishbia era. From the word go. The ink probably wasn't dry. Although, do you sign contracts anymore via ink, or is everything done electronically now? When the virtual ink was dry, before it was dry, Matt Ishbia was making all-in moves. This deadline, specifically their actions today, and it could change, but there's some really good reporting that says it's not, might be the first sign that we found where the brake pedal is in the car. We're no longer all in. We are realizing that things aren't working. And we are, relatively speaking, standing pat at the deadline. And I told you that at the beginning of the show, that trading Jusuf Nurkic in his contract and what they got back is not a acquisition. It's not adding. That is a stand pat type of move. We all knew that that was coming. I think there should be some level of celebration today. Because I think you moved one step closer to things getting on a right path. Jimmy Butler is not coming to the Phoenix Suns. I think that's a good thing. I think Jimmy Butler coming to the Phoenix Suns would have set this team back a decade. I think trading Kevin Durant for Jimmy Butler, which was one of the ways this could have gone yesterday, would have set this team back a decade. I think potentially utilizing all the picks you got back in the 2031 trade with Utah to make all this happen, to move Bradley Beal, and I think it would have set you back a decade. Instead, by doing nothing, by almost being forced to do nothing, you might have set yourself on the right course today. Because now we can see what this team really has over the remaining 32 games. We can see if there is a playoff push in their future. If they can make noise in the rest of the Western Conference. Now, you don't have to believe that they're going to do anything. You probably don't. They're holding on to the last spot right now in the Western Conference in the play-in tournament. San Antonio is only 2 games behind them. Portland is 3.5 behind them. 4 back in the loss column and just beat them twice. You may not think they're going to go anywhere. But by seeing this through, I don't think you've done any harm to the long-term future of this team. We still have a whole summer to debate trading Kevin Durant. We still have a whole summer where we can have the debate of how can this roster get improved. Maybe in the summer, Bradley Beal's contract is more attractive to teams. Maybe in the summer, the deals for Kevin Durant are better than the calls that they were getting right now. And if that's the case, you have missed out on nothing by standing pat. You haven't done your franchise any more harm. And truthfully, look at what moves were potentially available to the Phoenix Suns and ask yourself, was there a move that was still out there Is there a move that was still a possibility with 20 minutes to go in the trade deadline that would have knocked your socks off? It would have just been slam dunk. This makes the Phoenix Suns a better basketball team. Did that move exist? It didn't. Once Jimmy Butler wasn't happening, that move didn't exist. There wasn't one out there. So instead of trying to force it, you can look at this roster that before the year started you thought was of championship caliber. You brought in a NBA championship winning head coach. You have 3 stars in Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, and Devin Booker, and you have given them the biggest ultimatum that you could give them. Again, I don't know if it's by design or if they stumbled into it, but this is the reality. Those 3 guys have an opportunity to change the narrative over 32 games. If not, we will have a summer conversation about trading Kevin Durant. We will have a summer conversation about pivoting the direction of this franchise. And to me, the fact that the Phoenix Suns are relatively standing pat today at the deadline says they might be coming to the same conclusion. That they might not be ready right now, but they are closer to being ready than they were at the start of the season. They are closer to being ready to where I think most of us are at this point than they were probably a month ago. Or when all of this Jimmy Butler stuff started. I think today is a good thing. I think today is a good day. I know you want the big splash. You want your team active at the trade deadline. But sometimes the best move you make is by making no move. Sometimes the best move is the move that doesn't go through. And I think the best move that the Suns made is watching Jimmy Butler go to the Golden State Warriors. I think the best move the Suns made is by Bradley Beal not wanting to move his no-trade clause. Because I think what would have resulted from those things would have been catastrophic to the future of this franchise. So you're not going to get listed as one of the winners of the NBA trade deadline. You're going to have a lot of questions that are going to be asked about the future of your team. There are still a lot up in the air. But today, by doing what you did, or by the lack of what you did, I think you have set the stage for a summer of getting this franchise going in the right direction. Because this direction right now is not the right direction. The direction that you might have gone in 48 hours ago is not the right direction. The right direction is still a possibility after today. The right possibility is still in the cards this summer. And so for this thing to be a quick turnaround, you needed Kevin Durant to still be on this team. You needed to have that trade chip available in your back pocket. It's available to you. So maybe I don't sound like it, but there is some relief right now. There is some relief at them not doing anything at the deadline. There is relief at saying, you know what? The season hasn't gone the way we wanted it to, but we're just going to let this play out. And when we're not under the pressure of a trade deadline, when we're not under the pressure of playing basketball games, when we have clear minds, we have all the time in the world, we have a full off season, an entire summer to sit down and truly have tough conversations. You can't make very important decisions on a short time frame. Now, one could argue they should have made this decision last summer. One should argue that this conclusion could have been gotten to a couple of months ago. What have you lost out on by seeing this through? Teams are still going to call about Kevin Durant in the offseason. Teams will still call about Devin Booker if you wanted to open that Pandora's box in the summer. You lost nothing by standing pat today. You could have lost everything by pushing the chips further into the middle. And for the first time since becoming the owner of the Phoenix Suns, when presented with an opportunity to push all the chips into the middle, and in this case, break the table, Matt Ishbia decided against that. Common sense might be starting to win out. There is a realization that this team isn't very good, and the wholesale drastic changes that probably need to come to this franchise don't get accomplished in the best way right now. They get accomplished in the best way in the summer. Coming up On the other side of the break, we wrap up today's edition of the lunch break, where things stand. 16 minutes to go until the NBA trade deadline. And then we have the leftovers, all the stories that we didn't get to because we've been talking basketball for 2 hours today here on the show. That's next, the lunch break, KDUS AM 1060.
HD Radio is here for KDUS AM 1060. Check out your favorite shows and games on 100.7 KSLX HD2.
Breaking news, and this one is almost unbelievable.
Yeah, it's all about new customers at Bet365 because they get $150 in bonus bets when they bet $5, win or lose. And even better, bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, and player props.
There you have it. Bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. And see why. It's never ordinary at Bet365. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in Arizona. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT-STEP to 53342. T&Cs apply.
Jewelrygram, it's your friends at Shane Company, here to remind you that Valentine's Day is Friday, February 14th. It's the most romantic day of the year to give and get fine jewelry. We have expertly crafted gifts for every type of sweetheart. For the one, we'll help you propose with the dream engagement ring. Come see our wide selection of hand-picked natural and lab-grown diamonds in all shapes and sizes. In stock and ready to compare side by side right here in our store. Or maybe you'll fall in love with the natural, colorful gemstone. At Shane Company, we're known for our sapphires in every color of the rainbow. We have options for every style and budget. Get creative and design a custom necklace with meaningful charms, including 14-karat gold letters, engravable hearts, and birthstones. Our mother-of-pearl heart-shaped collection makes a perfect gift that's ready to give. At Shane Company, love is always in the air with our unmatched free lifetime warranty, everyday competitive prices, and no-pressure shopping experience. Come see us in-store and at shaneco.com. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
Healthy hearts love longer. They let you be there for all of life's most precious moments, big and small. That's why the expert cardiologists at Dignity Health never miss a beat. They work alongside a cardiology care team to guide you through whatever comes your way. It's our job to keep your heart in tip-top shape so you can be there for whatever greatness comes next. Find your doctor today at dignityhealth.org/azheart. Dignity Health. Hello, human kindness.
Need social information about KDUS AM 1060? Try KDUS1060.com, at KDUS AM 1060 on Twitter, and Facebook.com/KDUS AM 1060.
I'll tell you what, having this whole bit on the show planned to lead up until the music plays to end the show, basically signaling the end of the trade deadline. To hear a report a half an hour ago that the Suns are done, it just kind of took all the steam out of the last segment of the show, because they're done. They've been done. They're not doing anything between now and the end of the hour, so they're done. It's Yusuf Nurkic out, and it's Cody Martin. It's Vasilije Micic in. That's it. That's today. Added a point guard, added a small forward, added a second-round pick, traded a first-round pick, and got rid of Yusuf Nurkic's contract. That's it. That's today. And that's all that they are going to do. And it leads to a lot of conversations that we are going to have in the summer. But it also leads to, and maybe we'll unpack this a little bit more tomorrow, because I do want to let you know everything else that's happening in the NBA right now, is we're going to play the rest of the season out. So this season, Kevin Durant's still here. Devin Booker is still here. Bradley Beal is still here. This team is still going to try to push all the buttons possible with the roster that they have to try to make the playoffs. And so that's the lens that we are going to look through with 32 games to go. And we'll be here every step of the way to evaluate all of these games, how important they are, because they are still going to try to make the playoffs. So the Nurkic deal gets done. The Jimmy Butler deal is, I don't want to say fully done, but there's more legs to it. Dennis Schroeder headed to the Detroit Pistons as a part of that deal, because he went to Utah as a part of the original deal. So I don't know if that'll end up being a larger deal than the 5-team deals that was originally reported, if it will become a 6-team deal. But that's another layer to all of this. The Cavs were active today. They landed DeAndre Hunter from the Hawks in exchange for 2 players, 3 second-round picks, and 2 swaps. So the Cavs, we joked, I think it was on yesterday's show, it might have been the day before, that the top teams in the East and West were not really doing a whole lot. They were just kind of sitting back. Well, the Cavs get involved as they get the 27-year-old who is averaging 19 points per game in his sixth year in the NBA, having a career year across the board, and now gets added to the top team in the Eastern Conference, 41-10. They make a move to potentially help them in the playoffs, maybe the little extra on top as they try to compete in the Eastern Conference and win a championship. That's where things sit with 10 minutes to go. Now, I'm seeing this on Twitter. I have not heard the quote, okay? But apparently the Memphis Grizzlies reportedly, according to Bob Myers while he was on ESPN, and again, I have not heard the audio to this, but that the Grizzlies reportedly made a call on Kevin Durant. And so here is, again, the main takeaway from today. By at least showing a willingness to listen on Kevin Durant, by at least showing a responsibility to the franchise to entertain deals if they are presented to them, I think the Phoenix Suns have opened a door here. And I don't know if it's good or bad. I think if we're just looking at it from the franchise's perspective, long-term health of the team, I think it is good that they entertained all of this. But who knows how Kevin Durant is going to respond to all of this? Who knows what drama might come from this? Because we're not done here, okay? We're not. You've opened the box. You've opened the box and said, hey, if you actually put an offer in front of us, we can get to a place where we would cross what was before a bridge we wouldn't cross. We will trade Kevin Durant. Again, I want to know truthfully how close they were to getting that deal done with Golden State. And I don't know if it was the package coming back they didn't like, or if Kevin Durant really just called Matt Ishbia and said, I don't want to go to Golden State. I don't know what stopped the deal, but there was a lot of momentum 2 nights ago to that deal getting done. And so it felt like one foot was out the door. You can't undo that. You can't unring the bell. And so now because of that, what are the ramifications of that? One of the big ones is you're going to see these leaks of, hey, Memphis called. And you know what? Because they called now, they're going to call in the summer. James Jones's phone is going to ring a lot. Matt Ishbia's phone is going to ring a lot. There's going to be a lot of speculation. There's going to be a lot of rumors. If you think this ends in 8 minutes, you are wrong. This has just begun. Because remember how this season started with the Suns when they went 8-1? Do you remember where we were at the beginning of the year talking about what Kevin Durant's next contract might look like and a contract extension with the Phoenix Suns? And Matt Ishbia talking about how, Kevin's going to finish his career here. We want him here. We like him here. He likes it here. We couldn't do the deal that we wanted to do because of the rules last offseason, so we'll do it again this offseason. Think about that conversation for a second. Do you think we're going to have a conversation this summer about a contract extension? Or are we going to have a conversation of this team called about Kevin Durant, this team called about Kevin Durant, this team might be offering this, that team might be offering that? An extension feels so far away right now. Again, Pandora's box is opened, and I don't think it can be closed. We just started this journey. It feels like a chapter is ending because the deadline is coming up here in 7 minutes. It's just the beginning because you have opened the door. And now because you've opened the door, everybody is piling in. You can't close the door. The door won't budge. The door won't move. Everybody. And in the offseason, you're going to have more teams. Maybe Houston has a first-round exit and they realize they need somebody. Maybe Oklahoma City has a first-round exit. They get upset in the first round. Maybe Cleveland, Boston, New York, Indiana on the Eastern Conference side. Maybe Dallas revisits this in the summertime, depending on what happens to them in the playoffs. Maybe all of these teams start to revisit. But we are just at the beginning. Ramona Shelburne earlier today said that shoot-around yesterday was awkward, called the Suns locker room toxic, said that everybody was on pins and needles. You can't unring the bell. For the longest time, trading Kevin Durant or seriously entertaining trading Kevin Durant was off limits. for the last 24 hours, 48 hours, it was no longer off limits. You can't just say, just kidding. You can't do that. So you've opened a box here. Personally, I think it's good that you open the box. I think it sets you up to make the right decision for the health of this franchise. I want Suns basketball to be fun again. I want the Suns to have a direction that I can see, that I can buy into, that I can believe. I don't believe in the vision of the Suns right now. I think today is a step in moving towards the vision that I'd like them to reflect. But right now, if Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal and Devin Booker are still on this team and they keep trying to jam this square peg into the round hole, it's just not fun. It's not a vision that I align with. It's hard. Last night's game was a tough watch in the third quarter. And so, in order for them to get back to that point, I think something like this week had to happen. I think you had to kind of grease the wheels for us to have the conversation. Because now if it comes up in the summer, and it will, it's not an if, it's a when. When it comes up in the summer, it's going to be okay. It started. It happened already. We've ripped the Band-Aid off. You potentially tried to trade Kevin Durant this week. Now, you didn't, but you tried to. And you entertained Jimmy Butler in, Kevin Durant out. You didn't get there. You didn't get to the finish line, but you considered something that you probably hadn't considered all year long. And so now in the summer, you can't walk it back. You can't. And what you can't do is pivot and give him the extension. I think that is the new version of a move that sets this team back years. So the Phoenix Suns make one move here at the deadline. I'm going to very quickly check Twitter one more time to see if anything is going to get done here. And there are two moves that apparently have gotten over the finish line. Marcus Smart leaving the Memphis Grizzlies. It's Marcus Smart and a 2025 first-round pick. It's going to the Washington Wizards. It's a multi-team trade that sends 2 second-round picks to Memphis. And the Clippers are trading Kevin Porter Jr. to the Milwaukee Bucks. I just love how teams wait till the last possible second. You had all this time. You're going to just try to get these trades in with minutes to go. The music, how about this? How about this for a prediction? The music's going to play here to end the show. What, 2 minutes, Producer Dylan, I've got about? Yeah. There's going to be a trade that happens while the music's playing. Somebody's going to be like, in college, 11:59:59, you submit the homework assignment. That's what these NBA teams do. And this happens across all the sports. Somebody's going to get their assignment in at the last possible second. Somebody right before the deadline going to submit. Hey, I submitted it before the deadline. It's okay. It's fine. They're going to wait till the last possible second. Now, it's not going to be the Phoenix Suns. They're done. But other teams are getting involved. And so now, tomorrow, we can reset. We can now chart the path forward. We know what the roster is going to look like. We know who is on this team. We know who is not on this team. And we know that there are 32 games facing this team moving forward. The hardest schedule in the NBA. And now we don't have to play the back and forth of will they, won't they, Jimmy Butler this, Jimmy Butler that. It's all off the table. It is back to basketball starting tomorrow. It is back to trying to see if there is some magic in this team, if they can find something here over the next 32 games. As of this moment, if the playoffs started today, the Phoenix Suns would play the Sacramento Kings in a play-in tournament game. I officially give you permission now that the trade deadline is come and gone. You need the scoreboard watch. You need to check the standings. Because this team, the tough conversations are going to happen in the summer. By not making these moves now, we have a playoff race on our hands. Now, I don't think it's likely with the way that they've played, but they are in a playoff race. They are going to try to see this group through. And then we have a fantastic summer of chaos in front of us. Can't wait. One chaotic chapter closes, another one will begin in short order. That's going to do it for us. Appreciate you joining us. The NBA trade deadline, here, it's gone. It's over. You can't do anymore. Jim Rome is coming up next. Producer Dylan, thank you for all that you do. Everybody, make it a great rest of your Thursday. We'll talk to you tomorrow. See ya!
Bye.